5 on Your Side at 10 starts now.
History unfolding tonight in the Middle East.
The Muslim and Arab countries are all cheering.
The plan for peace and the long-awaited homecoming of Israeli hostages.
Pattern change. It's coming, but not until the weekend. When the rain chances ramp up and why it has a limited impact on our drought status.
Our top story, a deadly end to a police pursuit.
The worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
Police say the person behind the wheel, a teenage girl. Tonight, a 16-year-old girl lost control of her car and lost her life to the horror of onlookers. Good evening, I'm Mike Bush. The car flipped after police laid down stop strips along Highway 67 in Farmington yesterday morning. 5 on Your Side's Andy Kroll talked to witnesses tonight who were just feet away from the tragic scene.
It was awful.
Awful to see a 16-year-old girl die at the scene around 9:30 a.m. on Saturday, according to Missouri State Highway Patrol. Troopers saying the girl from Bonne Terre, whose name hasn't been released, swerved in a 2013 Buick SUV to avoid spike strips, ran off of Highway 67 near Highway 32, all right in front of Old Time Flea Market, to the shock of cashiers like Mary Jo Ketcherside.
What was going on to where she felt like she couldn't stop and she had to keep going?
This embankment is where employees say the car flipped multiple times. The girl inside was ejected into the air almost in slow motion. They tell us seeing it happen right before their eyes was one of the most traumatizing moments of their lives.
It replayed in my head all day, honestly.
There was a flea market parking lot event with vendors and a garage sale next door when it happened. Ketcherside says dozens of families were around.
The way the car landed, thank God that it landed where it did, because had it landed anywhere else, it would have been even worse, and it was already horrific, so I can't even fathom that.
Which is why Missouri State Highway Patrol says if you ever see a police pursuit like this happening in real time,
just keep traveling. Try not to stop. Don't be trying to stop and get a look at what's going on or whatever else, because that's going to cause more accidents behind you.
Ketcherside can't forget seeing who she believes were family members looking at the debris scattered across the embankment shortly after the crash.
Keep that girl's family in your prayers, because it's going to be very hard. She didn't get to live a full life, and I understand that she was the one that was driving the vehicle erratically and all that, but she still lost her life, and people need to realize she was a child.
Andy Kroll, 5 on Your Side.
And we pressed St. Francis County Sheriff's Office about why the girl was fleeing police, and we're still waiting for an answer. One man is dead after being hit by a car in Spanish Lake. This happened overnight on Lusher Road, just off 367. St. Louis County Police say the man was in the road when he was hit. The driver stayed on scene. Tonight, St. Louis police are investigating a deadly shooting in North City. A man was found shot just before 10:30 this morning on Lucille Avenue. That's in the Walnut Park West neighborhood. We're still waiting to hear from police for more information on a possible suspect or motive. Turning now to our weather impact forecast, another warm and dry October weekend coming to a close. Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell says a big fall cool down and some much needed rain are in sight, right, Scott?
They're in sight, but it's not happening for tomorrow and really not for the upcoming work week. It's next weekend when we look at temperatures beginning to drop back to close to average and a better chance for some rain. Look at those cirrocumulus clouds tonight. Paul shared this picture. That's the Missouri River there in the lower bottom of the screen. And you may have noticed the river levels are awfully low, only 2.5 feet right now on the Missouri River there in Washington, Missouri. Now, we look north and west of St. Louis. The radars come to life. Yes, it's rain on the radar, but that's up in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. It's still very dry. Those raindrops don't have much of a chance to make it to the ground, at least for us. We're thinking that falls apart as we head through the overnight hours into early tomorrow. If we see anything, it's probably just a spritz or a sprinkle. Otherwise, partly to mostly cloudy skies. While there is a chance we could start with some patchy fog tomorrow, odds are we're just right around 60 degrees and we won't see as much fog as we've seen the last couple of days. Listen, it's mainly dry and mild, if not warm this week. The next big front's coming in on Saturday. That will bring a rain chance, and after it passes, it brings us some cooler weather. But Mike, coming up in a few minutes, you'll see it's not a dramatic change from what October ought to be like.
All right, Scott, we'll check back. History tonight in Israel. We're just moments away from the return of the last 20 living Israeli hostages being held by Hamas in Gaza. Hundreds of Palestinian prisoners will be released in exchange, all unfolding overnight as part of the historic Mideast peace deal secured by President Trump. He's on his way to Israel tonight to meet with the hostages and their families. On Air Force One, Mr. Trump asserted this is an end to the two-year war.
The one thing I can tell you is everybody is happy, whether it's Jewish or Muslim or the Arab countries. Every country is dancing in the streets, and it's a point in time I don't think you'd ever see it again. They've never seen it for 3,000 years.
Benjamin Netanyahu, the prime minister, has not gone so far as to say the war is over. In your view, is the war between Israel and Hamas over?
The war is over. The war is over, okay? Do you understand that?
After meeting with the hostages, the president will address Israel's parliament before a peace-signing summit in Egypt. Well, hours ago, community members packed a town hall to oppose a $600 million data center project in Midtown. This is all part of a $1.5 billion redevelopment of the vacant Armory site. Developers say it will generate hundreds of jobs and millions in tax revenue. Opponents say the project threatens the city's water supply and could spike utility rates.
We're really worried about our own grid, our power grid, and what this is going to do to the community. And we really see that community members want to know what's happening, and they want to hear about what's going on from people other than the developers who are going to be profiting off of this project.
Another town hall will be held tomorrow. It starts at 5:30 at the Sheet Metal Workers Union Hall on Shodo. The husband of former Congresswoman Cori Bush wants a federal judge to throw out his fraud charges. In a motion filed Friday, attorneys for Courtney Merritt's argue it's a political prosecution because he's married to an outspoken progressive Democrat. Merritt has pleaded not guilty to charges that he lied on applications to collect more than $20,000 in federal pandemic disaster loans. His trial is set to begin in January in Washington, D.C. And we're expected to learn this week whether embattled St. Louis Sheriff Alfred Montgomery will be sent to jail. A detention hearing is set for Tuesday. Montgomery has been on house arrest since he was federally indicted last week on witness retaliation and tampering charges. A judge ruled Friday he could stay on the job for now. Well, tomorrow is Columbus Day, a federal holiday also recognized as Indigenous Peoples Day in response to criticism of explorer Christopher Columbus's treatment of Native Americans. Missouri and Illinois both recognize Columbus Day as a state holiday, meaning all state offices like the DMV will be closed tomorrow. The post office will not be delivering mail. Many banks, some schools, and libraries will also be closed. The East St. Louis branch of the NAACP came to downtown St. Louis tonight for its 71st annual Freedom Fund Banquet and Awards Gala. It's the organization's biggest fundraiser of the year. They celebrated achievements in civil rights over the branch's 101 years. 5 on Your Side's Travis Cummings was there to introduce the keynote speaker, Urban League President Michael McMillan.
Ending the stigma.
They're always the happiest one in the room. We didn't see it coming.
Tonight, a family blindsided by tragedy, now turning their grief into a lifeline to help others. Playing under the Sunday night lights. The friendly game of flag football tonight, tackling childhood illness.
The true feel of football weather is coming our way in about 10 days. In 6 minutes, we're tracking the pattern change that will give many of us a decent chance of rain by Saturday.
Making a Difference is sponsored by Midwest Bank Center.
Sometimes the people who light up every room are fighting the darkest battles. And sometimes when we lose them, their light finds a way to shine even brighter. In tonight's Making a Difference report, the St. Louis family who refused to let tragedy have the last word.
At the Knights of Columbus and Florissant, every toss at this cornhole tournament carries the weight of a mission. A nonprofit called the Team Jakey Foundation hosts this annual event. But to understand why, you need to know about Jake. Jake Zeller had a gift for finding the person standing alone at a party.
And strike up the biggest conversation with this person. We'd be like, who is Jake talking to?
His twin brother Sam says Jake was drawn to deeper connections.
He cared a little bit more about the conversation, the intellectual part about life.
He was the kid who made everyone laugh, but never wanted the spotlight.
He did not like attention on him. He didn't even want a college graduation party. I was like, oh yeah.
Which is what made December 2013 so incomprehensible. Jake was 24, working his first job out of college in Oklahoma. The family says he seemed fine. Then he took his own life.
We've heard so many stories of people like us, like they're always the happiest one in the room. We didn't see it coming.
That one is so obvious.
In the days and weeks afterward, Kathleen couldn't get out of bed
I still had their initials.
until a nun from her parish kept knocking.
And she clapped her hands like this and she said, "You got dressed today. You got dressed today." And I was like, I did. It was like a monumental moment.
Is this actually Jake?
Yeah.
The Zellers faced a choice: hide their pain or talk about it.
I had asked my parents, they were sitting on the couch, and I said, what do we tell people? And my dad, without even a moment's break, even a flinch, he said, we tell people the truth. And to me, my dad ended the stigma immediately.
This is a label that Four Hands did for us.
Steve Zeller, a union worker his whole life, found his purpose.
I find doing this stuff very passionate to help people. It makes me feel good.
Every year this grows, and that's the most important thing in the world to us.
That first cornhole tournament raised $2,400. This year, more than $50,000.
And it's not just the money raised, it's the stories that come out of it and the people you've touched.
The money funds free therapy through Provident Behavioral Health. And at these events, strangers become family.
There's a community there that we're all together and we're all dealing with some kind of loss, like a big loss. It's like a bond with a stranger.
If I save one life at the end of the day, doing what we've done with Team Jakey, then it's all been worth it.
Jake Zeller hated cornhole. He would have hated seeing his name everywhere. But the boy who always found the lonely stranger at parties is still doing it.
We're always going to mourn Jake and the loss, but if there's even just a slight chance that we could make this a positive thing for his legacy, that's all we wanted. Look at how cute.
They're going to have necklaces. Yeah.
And now he's not alone. His whole family is working the room with him, ending the stigma, one conversation at a time. Since it began, the Team Jakey Foundation has raised hundreds of thousands of dollars for suicide prevention and mental health services. And a reminder, if you know someone making a difference for others, let me know by email at mbush@ksdk.com. Well, the bleachers were packed tonight at Lindbergh High School for Sunday Night Lights. The flag football players, cheerleaders, and marching band members were all children battling or affected by cancer and life-threatening illnesses. And one of the coaches is a former player.
When I was 2.5, I was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and then they found another tumor growing when I was 9 or 10. Had a wish trip with the Blues. Now I work for them, and then now I'm 20 years cancer-free.
This was the 16th year for this event. All right, Chief Meteorologist Scott Connell rejoined us now with the weather impact forecast. He says there might be some rain in our forecast, but it's not a drought buster, right, Scott?
No, it doesn't look like it. It looks like as we get into the upcoming weekend, the rain chances will increase. You see the clouds rolling in tonight. Actually, a very pretty sky around the St. Louis area for the sunset tonight with those cirrocumulus clouds drifting in from the west. Just kind of a harbinger that, yeah, there's a warm front out there trying to push, yes, even warmer air our way. That'll be offset some by the clouds tomorrow, but we shouldn't be as cool tomorrow morning as we were this morning in most areas. Save areas off to the east of St. Louis. Florida, you're already down to 52. You're headed down into the 40s there tonight. But the Chesterfield Valley still 68. Most of us in the metro are still well above where we were this time last night. 71 in St. Louis. Despite that dew point of 53, that's because we have the clouds that have rolled in. 81 was our high today, 54 the low. We're about an inch below average for the year on precip, but over 5 inches below average since August 1st. Most of us, again, staying in the 50s tonight, near 60. Maybe a little bit of patchy fog. Don't think it's going to be as widespread as what we've seen the last couple of days because we do have more cloud cover tonight. There's your big coastal system causing all kinds of problems here from the North Carolina coast all the way up towards Long Island. And then you have our system out to the west where the front is trying to kick off a few showers. There at the mid-levels, the air below those showers very dry, so as those raindrops come down, they have a really hard time reaching the ground. Could there be a sprinkle tomorrow? Sure. North and west of St. Louis especially. But like what we saw Friday, you had a wall of water to the north and west of St. Louis at one point. By the time it got into the metro, fizzled right out. We think that's kind of the plan for most of this week, with temperatures and more sunshine still holding around 80 for Wednesday and Thursday. Friday's our warmest day. We'll be in the 80s, and then we wait on this front. This is our best opportunity to get some rain in St. Louis, badly needed. But the question remains, how fast is this system coming through? The rain chances will increase Saturday morning. Could see something as early as midnight or 1 o'clock Friday night into Saturday morning, but it's more likely Saturday into Saturday afternoon that at least scattered showers and thunderstorms will roll through the area. Now, it is not a lock that we are going to see rain, but the chance is higher than it's been for most of us for quite some time. So the next few days, there's more clouds and sunshine, probably tomorrow, perhaps even into Tuesday. Then it gets brighter again for Wednesday, Thursday. Friday starts bright, clouds on the increase. Your temperatures well above average. That average high, 71. By the weekend, when we cool off behind that system next Sunday in the low 70s, that'll still be above average for next weekend. So it's cooler, but not colder air coming in behind next weekend's system.
Time to go on the move. I'm Paul Cook, your traffic guide from today in St. Louis. We want to update you on a few projects around Lambert Airport. First up, that eastbound 270 to southbound 170 ramp that's been closed all summer. Well, got some good news to pass along. MoDOT is wrapping up that work. That should make your commute to and from the airport a lot smoother. And work continues on the overpass at 67 and Taylor Lynnhaven, just north of Lambert. Just to the west of that ramp, MoDOT tells me the work is needed to extend the life of the bridge.
So this is just north of the 270-67 interchange. And that work is anticipated to take through the end of the year. We're doing, again, a lot of just making sure we keep that bridge in good shape.
So loads of work going on around the airport. Please be aware. A good plan is to slow down, put the phone down, and follow the marked detours. I'll keep you posted on any changes. Stay safe out there. Paul Cook, 5 on your side.
The government shutdown standoff continues tonight in Washington. The new White House warning of painful cuts ahead and the Band-Aid for a mix-up at the CDC. Tonight, 2 people are dead after a small plane crashed into several parked 18-wheelers in Fort Worth, Texas, and it was all caught on surveillance video. The impact caused a massive fire. 2 people were found dead. The FAA is investigating. Tonight, 4 people are dead. 20 more are recovering after a shooting in a South Carolina bar. It happened overnight on St. Helena Island during a high school reunion. No word yet on what led to the gunfire or any arrests. Well, minutes from now, the U.S. government shutdown will enter its 13th day. And tonight, Vice President J.D. Vance is warning of more painful cuts to the federal workforce the longer it goes on.
We don't want to be laying off federal workers, but the Democrats have shut down the government. They have forced us to choose between American citizens and federal bureaucrats. We're choosing the benefits, the critical services that benefit our American citizens.
More than 4,000 federal workers have been fired so far. Hundreds of thousands more have been furloughed. Tonight, the Trump administration is scrambling to bring back hundreds of scientists at the CDC they say were accidentally let go. Democrats continue to hold out for guarantees on Obamacare subsidies that expire at the end of the year. They say health care premiums will skyrocket without extending them.
The president has indicated that he wants to do something about this, and he wants the government open. Well, we want this fixed, and we want the government open. So why is there a problem here?
And tonight, the Trump administration is blaming the government shutdown for denying 2 U.S. senators entry to tour an ICE facility in Chicago. Senators Dick Durbin and Tammy Duckworth were turned away on Friday. The White House blames Senate Democrats for the shutdown. Today, the Department of Homeland Security released a statement saying once Durbin and Duckworth vote to reopen, they are more than happy to facilitate a tour. Well, an uplifting story. And it's a St. Louis story that hit theaters nationwide this weekend. The big box office showing for Soul on Fire.
We must have a reason to thrive that is bigger than all the challenges that we face.
An inspirational story based and filmed here in St. Louis inspired moviegoers to the theater. Soul on Fire grossed an estimated $3 million for its opening weekend, coming in at number 5 at the box office. The film, of course, based on the best-selling memoir by St. Louis native John O'Leary. And streaming on the 5+ app, we're taking you behind the scenes of Soul on Fire. You're going to hear from the actors and the production team about filming the movie right here in St. Louis. And you can download the app and watch for free on your Roku, Apple, Fire, Samsung, or LG TV. The world's most iconic skating rink kicked off its holiday season this weekend. More than 250,000 skaters flock to the ice at Rockefeller Center in the heart of New York every year. That season will wrap up in March. Here in St. Louis, though, skaters won't be able to hit the ice at Steinberg Skating Rink. The Forest Park favorite is currently undergoing a $100 million renovation. It's set to reopen next fall as a 22-acre, all-season destination called The Glade. All right, Scott has one final check of the weather as you get ready for the work week.
And it looks like it's relatively tranquil here for the next few days. Tomorrow we may have more clouds than sun, and there might even be a spritz or two in a few places, but we're still close to 80 degrees for the high. And in that ballpark, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, Friday into the 80s. Our next real rain chance for anything that's substantial and potentially more widespread, that'll arrive on Saturday. We'll keep tracking that throughout the week.
And there you have it. 5 on your side at 10, a late edition. We're always streaming on 5+. Don't forget to start your day with Today in St. Louis beginning at 5 a.m. Sports Plus with Frank Cusavano is next.